This is Russell at Eye of Mine Action Cameras. In this video, I'm going to talk about the Wi-Fi Bacpac from GoPro. What you see in front of you is the Wi-Fi combo kit, but I'm only going to talk about the remote portion of it. I'm not going to talk about the wireless video transmission portion. That'll be a separate video. So there's two main components. One is the remote control, and this actually is the creator of the Wi-Fi network. And then here's the receiver. This receives the signal from the remote. And this thing simply goes right on the back just like the LCD screen does, and that's all there is to it. And in order to make this work in the housing, you have to have the thicker door, which is the exact same door as the LCD screen. And let me explain a little bit what this is. It's amazingly light for having a self-contained power supply. It has a on-off switch, and also this has accesses a menu, which I'm going to explain later, and then a USB charge, and the display. In fact, I can turn this on right now without it on the camera, and you can see what it does. It shows the battery indication, and then if you were connected to the camera, you'd actually see it looking for a signal. Because it senses that it's not on the camera, it's not going to look for the signal, so I'm going to turn it off. So let me talk about what's in the kit. I talked about the two main units, and this is the USB charger only for the remote control, and in my opinion this is kind of needlessly complicated because there's a key here that you can put on your keychain, and that's what this is, and you can put that on a keychain. But in order to charge it, you have to take this thing out. You got to slide this over, pull this out, which is just the key, and then you pop this in. It only goes one direction, and now you can charge it through your computer. If you're in a hurry, this is a lot of needless time, but I suppose you could keep the key out if you're never going to use it. So that's how you charge the remote. And in order to charge the backpack, you just simply put it into your computer, and that'll charge that way. Now, battery life on these, I was really surprised how little battery life there was. It's about the same as the camera. So let me talk about the other pieces that are here. In the box, there's labels explaining what every piece is in there so you don't get confused. So you have the door for land use, which has holes in it, and then you've got the door for underwater. Now, this is very important. Wireless signals do not work underwater, not even 1 inch of water. As soon as you hit water, you'll lose connection. So this is only if you're going to get splashed, or maybe if you're surfing above water and you want to keep everything dry. But I want to be very clear that this will not work underwater. Even though this thing is claimed to be up to, I think, 10 feet, it still will not work underwater. So just be clear on that. USB cable for charging this. This is a wrist strap that goes on this if you wanted to, and it can strap on your wrist and always be right in front of you. This is the owner's manual in different languages. And this is the most important part. This explains that you have to have the firmware installed before you can even use this thing, and I will talk about that later in this video. And this, I'll talk about this too. This is the instructions on how to do the firmware. And lastly, this is just like the LCD screen. If you have this on a mount and you can't get the thing to swivel as much as you want to because the door is thicker, this thing simply makes it go about another inch away from the mount, and then you can swivel the camera up and down. Think of it on the chest mount. Sometimes you want to be able to swivel all the way up towards you, and you can't because the door gets in the way. So this thing pulls it away from your body and lets you swivel it up straight up. Okay, so let's talk about what this thing does. So I'm going to put this in. Now, keep in mind, I've already done the firmware upgrade, and I'm going to explain that in the next section. But just assume that I've already done all this. So you have to turn this on first. So I'm turning the button on the side, and there's your display, and it's instantly starting to look for a signal. And now I push this, and it's within about 3 or 4 seconds, it's going to turn the camera on. So this and the back are synced together, so they look for each other, just like on a wireless router on your computer. It knows what to look for, and you notice that they are both displaying the exact same thing. So this bottom button changes the mode. So as soon as I hit that, it's now going to go into the other mode on the camera, and just like the camera does, it displays the mode first, and then it displays the screen. So let me explain the screen. The bottom left is how much time is left. So if you're in picture mode, it's how many pictures you can get on this card. And then if you go in the video mode, let's see if I can skip to the video mode, It's how much time is left. So this says 7H15, which is 7 hours 15 seconds. And then on the middle of the bottom is the battery indicator for the camera, not for the remote. That's important. And then the bottom right is an icon explaining that it's connected to the receiver. And then at the top, you've got your top left is the mode it's in, and then the W in this case means wide angle, because there's different angles you can do with 1080. And then explains the resolution, which is 720/30 in this case. And this is interesting. The number 4, that means I've taken 4 videos. Now watch what happens when I go to still mode. It now tells me I have 79 pictures that I've taken. So it's smart enough to know what videos are on here and what pictures are on here. So that's what the bottom button does. It simply just scrolls through the camera modes just like the front one does. And if you want to use this, the shutter button, like on the top, it's this button here. So as soon as I tap that, it's now recording. And you notice there's no delay, and I stop it and it stops the camera, just like that. And pictures the same way. I go to the picture mode and I hit that and it takes the picture. Now I'm going to show you something that may be a problem for you. First, I'm going to hold this down for a couple seconds, just like on the front, and it turns the camera on. Watch how much delay there is in starting this thing up. That's probably a good 10 seconds. So keep that in mind. You're not going to get an instant turn on. The reason why that is, this thing right here is creating its own wireless network, and then this thing is looking for the network. So this has to create the network first, and then this has to connect to it. So that's why there's quite a bit of delay. There's no delay at all when you turn it off. It's instant. Now, one thing I want to point out, which is really important, it gives you the version number, and then it shows you the remote battery level. That's the level on this battery here. That's the only indication of the battery level. Once this thing connects up to the camera, then the battery level you're going to see on here is the camera level and not the transmitter level. So that, to be clear on that. And that's basically how this thing works. It's really the exact same functionality as it is on the front button here. Really, it just mimics what you can do on the camera. And just like on the camera, you can go into the settings mode, which is the wrench. And now I hit the top button to get into the mode. And now it just goes through the settings, just like you see here. So what's great about this is you can be completely away from the camera and have complete control over the camera. Now here's what surprised us, and we couldn't believe this. We got 300 feet range line of sight before it started trying to acting up like it was disconnecting. Now once it disconnects, it takes another 5 to 10 seconds to connect up again. So it's not an instant connect, just like any Wi-Fi network. It takes a while for it to find the other component and then encrypt the signal and then connect to each other. Now look at this. There are a few, once you put on this back on this, you're going to see a few extra menus in here. Now, if I were to remove this back, these menus would disappear. Now, this is a menu, I don't know what it is. It says remote control button. And if I hit the choice button to change what the settings are, it doesn't do anything. So that may be something that's going to change in the future, or maybe it's just saying that this back is connected. Now, if I go one more, now this is the Wi-Fi menu. And if I hit this, it has different choices, and I'm not really going to go into this right now, but from the factory, once you install the firmware, it'll automatically connect up this to this. There's no configuration necessary because it already knows each other. So I'm going to get out of this mode right now. And there is one more screen which I didn't show you, and it's a Bluetooth icon, and I assume that's something that's coming in the future because this thing right now is not communicating with Bluetooth. So just keep in mind that when you install this back, you're going to see a few extra menus in the settings, and that only appears when the back is connected. And in the last section of this video, I'm going to talk about advanced features. One of the features you can do with this is this can control up to 50 different cameras, and that's a matter of just changing some configurations. And now I'm going to talk about some of the gotchas, some of the issues you're going to run into. And the big one is, I mentioned earlier that the battery life on this is not that good. And the problem you're going to run into, especially with this, is you're going to be going along and you finish an event or you finish a race and you turn the camera off and then you're done. You leave it in the corner somewhere, and you come back a couple hours later, and the camera's dead, and this is dead. And you're thinking, what's going on? And this has happened to me twice already. What happens is this thing has its own built-in battery. However, when this battery goes low, it starts draining the camera battery. So not only by leaving this on have you drained the battery on this, you drain the camera battery, and you're completely dead for the rest of the event. So be very careful that when you're turning this off for a few hours, you've got to turn this off, because the battery life on this isn't any better than on this. And that's something that can really get you. Now, you can charge this, the backpack and the camera at the same time with 2 cables. So that's something that can speed up the process. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the wonderful world of firmware upgrades, and this thing is a doozy. I spent hours and hours, and I turned out doing the wrong thing. And once I found out the right way of doing it, it was very easy. But so what's important on this whole firmware upgrade process is to find these instructions. These are kind of buried on I wish GoPro would put it more up front, because this is really how you do it, and you see how complicated it is. It's 3 pages. So what you have to do is you upgrade the firmware on the camera, and then once that's done, then you connect this up to your computer, and it will update this and do its rebooting and all the process involved. And then it will wirelessly, through this, while it's connected to your computer, will wirelessly update the firmware to this. This does not get connected to your computer. That's very important. So it's for step 1, step 2, and then this thing will update this once this is upgraded. And once it's upgraded, it's important to note that you do not have to do anything with settings in the menu system. In order to get the remote control to work, you simply just connect the back onto the camera, and it will work. There's no need to go in settings or do any configuration, because it already knows to look for each other. These are a pair. And now I'm going to talk about an advanced feature for the Wi-Fi Bacpac for the remote control. And that is, one remote can control multiple cameras. You can control up to 50 cameras. But if you've got multiple systems, you may want to label the systems, because it can get really confusing. Even though they have serial numbers on them, there's a serial number here, it doesn't match the other serial number. There's a serial number here. They don't match. So just put your own labels on there. That way you don't get confused. So for this demo, I'm going to have this as the control for both of these cameras. So I'm going to take this remote away. And so because these are already a pair, it knows to look for it. I'm not going to turn this on. I'm not going to turn the back on. What I do want to do is I want to have this backpack look for this transmitter. So I'm going to turn this on the back, and I'm going to turn the camera on. And I'm going to show you a little shortcut. Once these both are on, if you hit menu, you just tap it, it instantly jumps to the menu for the backpack. So I'm going to go down, and I'm going to say Wi-Fi RC, and I'm going to say new, because that's going to disconnect from the current one, the one that already knows, which is this one here. And I'm going to hit enter, and then it says, do you really want to detach from the current remote? I'm going to say yes. And then you get this icon, and that means it's looking for a new signal that it doesn't already have in its memory. Now, if you want to stop it, all you have to do is hit the front, and you get this. Hit the top, and you get that stopped. And you can do the same thing again. Just hit the side button, and it jumps to that menu. Wi-Fi RC, new, detach, yes. Okay, now it's looking. So now I'm going to come over here. And in order for this to go into discovery mode, which means allow other things to discover it, I hit the top button, and I hit the bottom, and I let go of the bottom, but keep the top one pushed, and you're going to see a new icon, and there it is. It's looking, or it's actually sending out a signal, and it sees there's a number 1 on there. It means it's found one camera, and it's going to keep looking for a certain amount of time. And you notice this thing is already connected, so that icon went away. So I think I can probably stop this at 1. Let's try the top button. So that worked. So if you hit the top button while it's searching for more cameras, you can stop it from looking more cameras, and it's already connected to the 2. So now I'm going to turn this camera off. So now let's see, if I turn this backpack on, and that one's on. So they're both on. Both cameras should turn on. Let's see what happens. And there you go. Now you notice that they were kind of drastically off on their turning on. I'm not sure why that is, so I'm going to turn them off. Okay, they both turned off at the same time, so let's try it again. Well, there's a lot of delay. There, that time they went on. I'm not sure what that was all about. But yeah, the turn on time is always a long delay, and it says 2 cameras ready. So if you've got 50 cameras, it'll say 50 cameras, and it knows, it's smart enough to know what's connected. Now, this is important. When you change modes, it's exactly the same on both cameras. So you cannot obviously get way too complicated. All the cameras have to be at the same menu, and then when you want to take a picture, like this one's going to be the burst mode. There you go, pretty instant. And that is the advanced feature for the remote control for the Wi-Fi Bacpac. And that's the Wi-Fi Bacpac from GoPro. It's really powerful and can really help enhance your action camera experience.